What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Like always, like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment down below. Today, we have something that's book related and not Star Trek. Um, I've read 6 Star Trek books for the month of March in the year of 2026, and that puts me at 29 total since November 2025 of Star Trek books. So I wanted to get back into Tom Clancy, and I'm super glad I did. This book was really good. We have Red Rabbit by Tom Clancy. You see Tom Clancy on the right there, and it was a pretty good book. It wasn't like high octane action or anything like that, but it was pretty decent. I had a good time with it. So basically, you're following a young Jack Ryan. This is set immediately after Patriot Games, and if you're going in chronological order, you start Without Remorse before Jack Ryan. You got John Clark, and then you do Patriot Games, which is Jack Ryan basically becoming what he becomes, and then the Red Rabbit follows immediately after that. So him and his wife are moved to England, from Langley to just, he's like doing his analysis stuff and just, pushing paperwork and all that stuff. Um, and so you meet you meet a couple of the bigger characters that are going to come in throughout the Jack Ryan series. From what I've just read online, it could be wrong, but anyway. So at the same time he's doing that, over in Russia, they're dealing with it's the peak of the Soviet Union, the peak of the Cold War, all that stuff's going on. The KGB is rampant, and all that crazy stuff. So you meet the main character, Oleg, over in Russia. Basically, he's also like a paper pusher for the KGB, one of their communication centers, and he finds out that the guy that's going to take over as like the leader of the KGB or whatever, he wants to assassinate the Pope. So this dude has a conscience, and he's like, he just doesn't think that he can, you know, keep his mouth shut about them wanting to kill an innocent person, that being the Pope. Um, so he decides, him and his wife and his daughter, he keeps a secret from them. Of course, he wants to defect to the West. He wants to get out of there. So he ends up, another part of his job was, finding, potential American spies or whatever. Well, there just happens to be some spies there, Ed Foley and his wife, Mary Pat, and they're there to, um, actually, I forget what the heck they were there in Russia for. I think they were just literally there to spy. It's the Cold War. Things are going on. Everybody was spying on everybody. Everybody was worried about nuclear bombs going off. What's really changed, honestly. We're so manipulated. Anyways, um, I saw an opportune time to use what was my favorite word a couple of weeks ago, but I don't like it now, so I'm not gonna use it. Anyways, so they're there, and Oleg, he realizes what Ed Foley is, so he kind of starts, giving Ed Foley like these little tips, these little hints, these clues that he wants to talk to this guy. He wants the CIA to help him escape Russia. So all that, basically, yeah, they end up finally meeting and all this stuff, and Ed Foley sets it up to help them move from Russia, but Oleg's not telling them why. He's like, I'm keeping it secret because y'all have a communications leak. So of course their heads are exploding. The CIA is like, what? We have a communications leak in America. So so Ed Foley's tasked with trying to gather the CIA to help this dude get to Budapest and then get, to the West, get to America. Oleg, his wife, and his daughter. So finally, it comes across, you know, the SIS in England, where Jack Ryan's at. So them and the CIA in America communicated. They're like, well, Jack Ryan, send him, to watch over things and make sure this transfer works right. So he's sent to, uh, so he knows he's going to be sent to help Oleg get, out of Budapest and to the West. But he's starting to figure out what's really going on, and finally they figure it out that, this dude wants to defect. They don't figure out. I messed up. Let me just erase that. They get to Oleg. They get him out. They actually find 3 bodies of various fire accidents. One dude in England and a family which had a mother and a daughter in America. You know, it was random accidents. So the government puts those bodies in in the hotel where Oleg and his family were in Budapest, and so the Russians think that he's dead. So they just write him off. You know, they don't look into it anymore. And Oleg finally gets to the SIS and CIA in England, and he's like, "Yeah, this, so and so, the guy that Andropov that's going to take over the KGB. He's like, they want to kill the Pope, and y'all have a communications league in America, and y'all have moles." And so Ryan and the CIA are like, "Holy crap, dude!" So of course Ryan's all on it. He's partially Catholic. He's like, "We're gonna stop the dude that wants to take out the Pope." So they go over to Italy. They do all this stuff. Oleg was safe getting to where he needed to be, him and his family. Ryan and another guy get to Italy. Ryan's about, he sees the dude about to shoot the Pope, has the gun in his back, but it turns out that this guy actually hired another guy to shoot the Pope. So the guy actually shoots the Pope. So they failed their mission, but they get the guy. Anyways, the Pope actually barely lives. He lives. And then that's kind of where the book ends. You know what I mean? They failed the mission. They did not protect the Pope. So, but it was a good book. I mean, it was not too that's the last 20 pages where the action comes in. So that was that. Um, but it was a really good book. It was so good, in fact, that I was thinking about reading a Star Trek book right after I read Red Rabbit, which this would be next on my Star Trek agenda. It's a pretty long one. I might pick a shorter one. I don't know yet. I'm not doing TBRs anymore. I'm kind of just reading intuitively, whatever I feel like. I don't even probably need to read any more Star Trek this month. I just love Star Trek, so I'm also looking at towards another Peter David one. I might I might read after Red Rabbit. It's a little bit shorter because I mean after what I'm currently reading. I already read Red Rabbit. And let me say my rating for Red Rabbit is a definite 9 out of 10. It was a solid book. It wasn't perfect by any means, but it was great. So currently halfway through the Hunt for October. I got a random day off of work on Monday, the 16th of 2026. So I've put in about 312 pages so far today. It's I like it. It's not like amazing, but it's far better than the movie was. The wife and I watched the movie yesterday, and the movie kind of sucked. Like, I did not enjoy it that much. It was kind of like not that good. But here in the book, a lot of things are explained that just aren't explained in the movie. So that's a different complaint. Uh, the book is Hunt for Red October's. I'm enjoying it. If I had a little more time on this Monday, I could probably finish it tonight and drop the review on Tuesday. But it doesn't matter. Um, so after that, I don't know what I'm gonna read. I do have a James Rollins book come in. Uh, a YouTuber, Blade Breaks. He opens up sports cards. If you go to my post that I made with the Red Rabbit picture or Hunt for Red October, one of those pictures, talking about going on Tom Clancy kick, he references that here. He tells me about that author, and honestly, I looked at the series and they sound freaking amazing. So I might read that next, depending. But we'll see. I love Star Trek and I start to miss it, but it's only been let's see, I read Red Rabbit over the weekend and I'll be done with Hunt for October on Tuesday. So what, that's 4 days that I'm away from Star Trek. So, maybe another, less than a week I'll be away from Star Trek. I think I can handle that. Maybe. I can always read two books at once. Anyways, stretching the video out farther than it needs to be. We got Tom Clancy, Red Rabbit. You see Tom Clancy in his USS Iowa hat. He does insane amounts of research for these books. If you've never read Tom Clancy, I highly recommend it. This is my third Tom Clancy book. This one will be my fourth, and I'm going to continue on in the series. Uh, and the next one in chronological order is the first one that I would be reading that isn't written by Tom Clancy. It's written by Cameron. Mark Cameron, Red Winter, but I'm still excited for it. So I heard he carries the torch pretty well, so it'll be good. But that's the video. Tom Clancy, Red Rabbit, a Jack Ryan novel. And number three, if you're going in chronological order, it was a solid 9 out of 10. Like and subscribe, comment down below, hit that notification bell. Later.